Welcome back to another episode of Let's Face the Facts. I'm your host. My name is David Almeida, and I love talking with people and hearing what they have to say in those rare moments when I can hear them over the sound of my own voice. That's a Paula Poundstone joke, and sadly, it resonates. Anyway, I'm an actor, and I work out of Orlando, Florida, and every week I sit down with an actor or artist friend. We watch an episode of the classic sitcom, The Facts of Life. Then we hit record, we get to talking, we talk about the show, and anything else it leads us to talk about. Hopefully it's fun, hopefully you enjoy listening, and hopefully you enjoy meeting the wacky folks here in the diverse and thriving Central Florida arts community. This week, my guest is Logan Donahoo. Logan is a local theater guy. He's a performer, a writer. You could call him a monologist, or you could call him a monologist, if you knew how to properly pronounce that word, because I don't. And I checked on the internet, and it wasn't really very helpful. But anyway, he does monologues, as in one-man shows. In fact, he recently just did one at the Orlando Fringe Festival, which just ended last month, and his show had a program with a short bio. So I'm like, oh, great. I don't need to worry about introducing him. I'm going to introduce you with his own words. Logan Donahoo is an award-winning writer and performer, creating independent theater for more than half his life. He's been an on-air DJ and host for college radio station WPRK 91.5 FM, a graduate of the improvisational theater group SAC Comedy Lab, an outspoken queer activist, and a host of various cult movie screenings for over a decade. Logan has been involved in more than 10 different award-winning productions at the Orlando International Fringe Theater Festival, which he has begun to take on tour to other festivals. Some favorites include creating and performing Field Guide to the Gays, Slut Like Me, and Trash Cinema 101, and directing Trey Parker's Cannibal the Musical and Christopher Durang's Sister Mary Ignatius Explains It All for You. Most recently, Logan wrote Truly Divine, a one-woman show for Ginger Minge from Season 7 of RuPaul's Drag Race, which premiered at the 2018 Rochester Fringe Festival. Pretty cool, huh? I need say no more about Logan, huh? One quick point I wanted to make before we got going. Remember my rant the other week about the overuse of the last name Parker on the show? I cited 3 different times they used the last name Parker. I missed one. There were 4. Bink Parker. He is such a weenie. The guy who Blair was hoping would talk Joe and Eddie out of getting married in Teenage Marriage Part 1. His name is Parker, too. That's 4 different unrelated people in the Facts of Life Cinematic Universe, or FOLCU as I like to call it, with the last name Parker. Writers, I am unimpressed. Just want you to think about that. You go to your room and you think about what you've done, okay? Now let's get back to this show. Logan and I watched Season 3, Episode 4. It's entitled A Friend Indeed, and that had the original air date of November 18th, 1981. I think we're ready to jump on in. Let's face the facts with Logan Donahoo.
Hi.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Logan Donahoo.
Hi.
In the house.
In the flesh.
In the living room, actually. I call it my
Your grand room.
You know that because you listen to the show.
I do.
Logan, I am so happy that you are able to be here, and you had told me you were super crazy excited. Because you're a big fan of The Facts of Life.
I am. I was one of the ones that listened to it. I listened to The Facts of Life. No, I watched Facts of Life in reruns.
It was a podcast in 1981.
But yeah, I saw it in reruns once it had hit syndication back in, goodness, maybe late 80s. As a child of the 80s, I'm 37. So that's how I think I watched... what was the other one with Nell Carter?
Give me a break.
Give me a break, yeah.
That's my voice is terrible.
Everything comes back to hair. By the way, between Nell Carter and Charlotte Rae, everything comes back to hair today.
I forgot that Charlotte Rae was in the movie Hair, and during the show you reminded me of that.
Little things that I'm obsessed with, and Nell Carter was one of the 3 black women that sang in all the different black woman parts and hair.
How do you just did it too. How do you not do Nell Carter without just putting your voice up in your nose?
Ain't got no home, ain't got no shoes. Yeah. Ain't got no money.
That's it.
I remember hearing something where they said all great vocalists have a distinct voice where you hear them immediately and you're like, oh, I don't care what song they're singing. I know that's Judy Garland. I know that's Tori Amos.
Or
I know that's
Rihanna or Sia.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. I'll be in the store and I'll be like, oh, I know who that is.
That's the new Sia song, I guess. Yeah, so Nell Carter, I think, falls into that.
So it all comes back to, yes. But yeah, Gimme a Break was, back in the day, the Saturday night after, right now where we are in the Facts of Life, it is on Wednesday nights at 9 right after Real People. Oh. So that's why it is right now, the season we're in will be one of its best ratings-wise.
Because it was actually moved to a good...
Because they had a good time slot. And because they moved Diff'rent Strokes to another night because it was performing strongly enough so that they moved Facts of Life to the top of the hour as opposed to being the second half. So
where it's its own flagship show.
Yeah, and Real People was hugely popular, so people just kept the TV on. And that's why Facts of Life continues to improve and grow. But when the show later moves to Saturday night, it's part of a powerhouse lineup where it's Gimme a Break, Facts of Life, Golden Girls, 227.
Wow.
It's,
I wish I was watching back then. I was born 82, so I don't think I saw that era of TV.
Where you had literally 3 or 4 choices.
Yeah, they were all novelty things that kind of came into syndication once, like, I think I saw it on Fox, actually, like late 80s, early 90s, like 89, maybe.
And because in the late 80s, the Fox stations were the UHF stations. They were previously the independent stations that were like, we have
bought out.
Yeah, there's this block of programming that we can connect into and build a viewership and be paid an affiliate. I think the affiliates were paid by the network to carry the signal back in the day. So you did grow up with the show.
Yeah.
It is an important show to you.
It is.
As a young blossoming gay boy.
Yes.
May I tell the audience that you are a homosexual?
I am, in fact, a practicing homosexual. Unrepentant.
Beautiful. I would say you're somewhat of a gay icon in our community with your fringe shows that you do.
In a weird way, I'm of the new gay coven that's coming up.
The coven? Coven is a beautiful word.
As it were. So there's the Jessica Lange era, and then I'm the newer upstarts coming in.
Because
I'm not comparing Michael Wanzie to Jessica Lange. However, I'm comparing Michael Wanzie to Jessica Lange.
Just somehow I want to be involved in this, and I want to be Sarah Paulson.
Yes!
Because everybody wants to be Sarah Paulson. She's so fucking amazing. So as I always like to start the show, we've just watched season 3, episode 4, A Friend Indeed. Mm-hmm. That is 2 words, indeed, not the word indeed. And clearly that was very important to somebody somewhere.
Because, they signed a contract and they want to make this have to do with mortgages. Why? Why indeed?
They were paid by the word? Yeah. I don't know.
Probably, weird Hollywood rules, probably.
Oh, it's true. But I kind of get what they're talking about.
Yeah.
The episode does support
friendship.
The thing exactly about what you do is what makes you a friend. But let's not get too far ahead of ourselves, because my show always has to start with my guest giving a 1 to 2 sentence synopsis of the show we just watched, kind of like what you might see in a TV guide listing.
Oh my gosh. On today's very special episode of The Facts of Life, Blair Warner finds out what true friendship is and how to have something deeper than a superficial relationship with her mother.
Logan. I'm giving you the slow clap.
Thank you.
I only do that.
It was a very special episode.
Once, but you did that with no spoilers. That's amazing. There were no spoilers.
Yeah, no.
I'm so proud of you. Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
You've got to dance around what the subject of the episode is and then not give it to them.
So let's get started with the show and the plot. Mm-hmm. First things first. When the opening theme came along, Logan sang along with it. as Nell Carter.
As Nell Carter. Nell Carter. I'm going to release, this is off my upcoming album. Nell Carter sings all the theme songs of the 1980s.
Oh my God.
I don't know how offensive it is to have a 30-something half Latino boy singing Nell Carter's voice, but we're running with it.
So what would be the 80s theme songs that Nell Carter would sing?
Obviously the Snorks and Entertainment Tonight and
Entertainment
Tonight. We didn't know there was lyrics there, but Nell Carter's going to discover them for us. Yes. Her name is Mary Hart. You're gonna love her.
She's got legs and she shows them all.
Oh my God.
Mary Hart and the Legs. There's an 80s reference for you.
That would be a great band name. Mary Hart and the Legs.
Mary Hart and the...
Yes. Do it.
Oh my God.
Do it,
and
David.
And then the lead singer would be like, my name isn't Mary Hart.
It's like
Darius
Hootie.
Rucker's name is not Hootie.
It's like Hootie.
My name is Logan Donahoo. I'm the lead singer for the band that's called Mary Hart and Her Legs.
Oh, I want to be that indignant about something I do. I really do.
How dare you? Yeah.
How dare you insult my art?
Yeah, because everyone, it's like Darius Rucker. Who? Hootie. Done. Know who it is. He should just embrace it, Darius. You really should. So our episode begins.
Plot line. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Our episode begins.
Yes.
They're doing, it's a cleaning day in the cafeteria.
Clean and fold.
All of the girls are cleaning. Mrs. Garrett is ironing.
A gigantic, is it a tablecloth?
I believe it is a tablecloth because it is round. They make a comment that Joe has been mopping the same spot. And what seems like a throwaway joke is actually setting up for a callback where Blair comes in with her catchphrase saying, Joe, I've just had one of my brilliant ideas. If you move your feet while you're mopping, you can get the whole floor clean and we can be done before noon. That's a cute little joke. It's all the thing. But the reason why we learn Joe is distracted is because she has an interview for a job at a bike shop somewhere in Peekskill.
And not bicycles. She likes motorbikes. Because Joe's a tough little cookie.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. Motorcycle bike shop, not a bicycle bike shop. We have never talked about how Joe we never ever heard response or follow up to Joe having to work at Harrison's department store on the weekends after the shoplifting episode. As sitcoms are wont to do, they threw that out and never brought it back. So
I completely forgot about that.
Joe was supposed to be working there, but we never heard of it. But let's assume she's fulfilled that commitment.
It was a temp gig.
Yeah.
It was over the summer,
you know that girl that stole something from us? Let's hire her. Let's make her work for us. That's her punishment. We're going to give her the opportunity to continue to steal from us.
I would like to believe that the 80s were that world where that's how things worked, but the sitcom interpretation of the real life back then especially is no.
They digressed greatly, yes. So that's what's going on with Joe. And then there's a phone call and Blair says, oddly, oh, I told Mother to call me as soon as she got her facelift. Mm-hmm. That's a weird term. It's not like a facelift is getting your nails done.
I know. Well, I think that's why. Because they want to make it look like it's just no big deal to them. That she's
I guess
in a class that, it's a Friday, you get your facelift.
So,
that's why Tootie has that throwaway joke about, imagine in the future... does she phrase that way? Like, going to McDonald's.
Cosmetic surgery will be like going to McDonald's, and then she says the catchphrase.
Yeah. I deserve a facelift today. Which, in a way, Botox parties have become the advent of that future that Tootie has envisioned.
Yeah. Oh, if they could make drive-through, that type of...
Drive-through Botox?
Drive-through Botox, I don't think we're far away from
Just lean out your window and whoop.
Yep, exactly. And that joke landed hard. Tootie loved it. And for those who don't realize, you deserve a break today was the McDonald's slogan of this time.
Yes.
That's what it's referring to.
Socially relevant. as leg warmers.
Yes. So at one point, Joe weighing in on the facelift situation, she's like, you are what you are. If you're old and you're ugly, you live with it. Joe, always the pragmatist.
She wants to really make sure you understand her blue-collar upbringing and ethics.
They drive it home. They absolutely do. They never fail to every episode. Well, then, who was on the phone, though? It turns out it was the Moose Lodge on the phone. And they were calling to say, hey, one of our bizarre, it was like a pet act or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, or
has
something.
canceled. And so... Cousin Jerry.
Let's get the cerebral palsy girl instead.
Yeah. And, well, Jerry was already...
do.
Like you do. Jerry was already working, but they're like, we need another 15 minutes out of her now. And so that's all fine and dandy. I'm going to point out that I believe in the previous time that Jerry appeared, they called her Jerry Warner. And they called her Jerry Warner, and because she's Blair's cousin. But from this point going forward, I believe she's credited as Jerry Tyler.
Okay.
And that does remain consistent with how they're related, because we learn in this episode, Blair and Joe are cousins via their mothers being sisters.
Yes.
So when your mothers are sisters, you ain't got the same last name.
Now, did Jerry, as a stand-up comedian, have like a decent career outside of this? I'm deeply unfamiliar with her as a stand-up comedian outside of this for real.
Fairly, yeah.
Okay.
And there was also a public service commercial that showed some of her stand-up.
Okay.
This certainly gave her a much bigger, wider
Yeah.
platform and all that. I mean, she wasn't Steve Martin or Bill Cosby or all that, but she enjoyed, I think, a fairly...
Good on her.
And still, I think still does. I think she still does do stand-up, just not as much.
Oh, okay. I need to look up her stuff. I feel negligent.
So the message is for Jerry, and Mrs. Garrett's response is, let her sleep, and we'll tell her when she comes down, I think is the term. Something that implied to me that she was upstairs.
Oh.
And she was asleep. We have discussed, where the fuck do people stay when they are staying as guests?
I know.
We're already in the cafeteria.
A cafeteria that somehow has dormitories above it.
Well, it was a storage room. The girls live in what was a storage room, and it looked like a garage. There was like
I know,
bike and shit up there. And nonetheless, she is here, and she has gotten the message. And in case we're not sure who she is, it's like, wow, they need another 15 minutes. I need to come up with more jokes other than my cerebral palsy jokes.
Yeah.
So Jerry, as a comedian, suddenly has to come up with 15 more minutes of material?
I can't come up with 3.
Stand-up comics, if you are established in any way, shape, or form, a stand-up comic, you need, I think the term is like, your tight 10 kind of a thing. You need, and it can take you months or years to come up with your 10 best minutes of material.
Yep.
And then as you continue to ascend the ranks and come up with more stuff, you over time have the 30-minute set in your brain versus the 15-minute versus the 10-minute. It's a much more scientific process than people realize, I think. And I'm not a stand-up, but from what I've heard from a kabillion podcasts. Anyway, the idea that she has to come up with new jokes to create another 15 minutes.
They make it feel like we're talking about a talent show rather than a...
Yeah, it's very disturbing because it should be, hey, stand-up comic, can you do another 15? Stand-up comic would be like, fuck yes, it will cost you this much more.
Yeah, exactly.
But I've got it. If she was
this
at this
version
point,
of Jerry is local friend to everyone.
I guess, yeah. Anyway, not too long after Jerry appears, Mrs. Warner shows up. And it is not the Monica Warner we met in season 1. And thank God, because Monica Warner in season 1 was horrible.
I don't remember that.
She looked like the love child of Olivia Newton-John and Bo Derek and Shelley Fabre.
So I'm hearing hair here is
blonde
the thing. Okay.
Hair. And
to really emphasize the link to Blair.
And the emphasis of the episode was that she was too much of a flirt, and we think she kissed one of the other dads who was married. And so Blair went through this crisis of, I don't want to be like my mother.
Oh my God.
So we have completely retconned this
No, we
relationship,
have.
and for the better, because this is fan-fucking-tastic.
No, like I was actually really impressed at this having like meat and potatoes for a light summery TV show.
Yeah. Well, we're in the latter part now. This is more Thanksgiving. This is the heavier turkey and taters kind of show, because we're in later in the year now of 81. So, but who cares? It's one of those things like retconning, not cool, but when they do it because they're correcting something that was awful or a fuck up, bring it. I'm good. If you do it right, we'll forgive it.
This is more significant than just mommy kisses people. Like
yeah.
And
it's the wonderful actress Marj Dusay is her name.
Okay.
And she is a soap opera actress, and it shows.
Oh, girl.
And she is fucking awesome.
She knows how to walk to the bottom of the frame, sit, and cry on command. Do.
She knows her way around a soundstage. She knew her camera angles.
Yeah.
This bitch had it going
really
on.
good.
I fucking love her, and I love that she is, from now going forward, she is Blair's mother. This will always be the actress who plays her.
Fantastic.
And it's wonderful. The consistency is great. So what we've got going on is she's there. Oh, what are you doing here? We didn't expect this visit. Oh, I postponed the surgery. I didn't have the facelift after all. And she glibly tosses it off like, oh, I got to the hospital and everything was green and I just couldn't deal with it.
The food was green. The hallways were green.
Yes. And so it's like, oh, okay, fine, whatever.
And it's a sitcom, so we just laugh it off. Haha, okay.
Yeah. Now, we do have to, before we continue with the plot, because there's talk earlier of the cosmetic surgery, and she says to Mrs. Garrett, oh, I bet you think this is all ridiculous, don't you? And so we have to get Mrs. Garrett, the star of the show, has to weigh in. And she says, oh, I don't mind. You are going to do your Mrs. Garrett impression. Before we're done. If it makes you feel better, I'm all for it. So it's like, okay. And if you have a spare $40,000 laying around. But that we do get Mrs. Garrett's weighing in on it.
Yes.
So then the moment happens where Monica, Mrs. Warner, Blair's mom, says, oh, I've just had one of my brilliant ideas.
Reincorporation.
Callback and cut to reaction shot of Joe, who's still mopping, next to Mrs. Garrett. Joe's eyes are like,
this is where it comes from.
Did I just hear another human being say this shit that drives me crazy? The reaction helped elevate it further, but it crushed as a callback where you're like, Blair's mother says that. She's also a privileged white woman. So her brilliant idea is that why doesn't Blair not take care of her responsibilities? Why doesn't she come shopping with me? And so we can have some mother daughter time.
Her.
Yeah, so Mrs. Garrett says I can do without her. Fuck Blair. Get her out of here. So Blair goes to get ready. Now, in the meantime, Joe expressing nervousness about this interview for this motorcycle shop. She's not sure what to wear. One of the other girls says, why don't you ask Blair? And she's like, I'm not asking Blair. She's just going to be a bitch to me and blah, blah, blah. Well, Joe decides to do it. So Joe kind of a little bit's like, I don't know what to wear. So I was kind of, and Blair's like, what? What are you asking?
Do you need to say the word help?
Yeah.
Like leads her there. Yeah.
She's like, are you going to force me to have to say it out loud? And so, earlier Blair does dig at Joe saying, no bike shop is going to hire you because you have no people skills, is what she basically says. You're coarse and you're grating and you're blunt. Those aren't the right words, but she does kind of cut Joe down a little bit with that. Well, she says, fine, Joe, I will help you, and puts her arm around her. The frenemy relationship is still, I think, a beautiful thing to behold. So at this point, Monica is left alone with Jerry. And Cousin Jerry walks up and says, so Blair doesn't know, does she? And Monica's like, what? And she says, my mother told me what the doctor said. And Monica makes some type of a mark. Oh, that sister of mine, she just can't keep her mouth shut. So it's like, aha. So we know that Monica and sister. Exactly. Monica and sister are the parents of Blair and Jerry.
And Jerry, ever in service to Blair's plots.
Mm-hmm. And then Monica says, I really can't talk about it. Please hush, if you would. Just please don't tell her. I can't deal with it. She does say what the doctor said, so we know it's a medical thing. Mm-hmm. So Monica just says
serious.
Yeah. So Monica leaves, and we leave Jerry alone for one of those long, uncomfortable reaction shots, where it's like, oh, please, someone call cut.
Yeah.
So Jerry is left alone, looking off, exceptionally worried, and it's like, ooh, Jerry, she's doing fine. But she's not an actress.
Yeah. We need to have the music swell and cut to commercial.
Yeah. And the music would have helped. But the thing is, we're not to commercial yet. We're going to the next scene. So it's like a slow, lingering shot and then the slow dissolve. So then the next scene, we're in the parlor, and there are all kinds of bags and boxes and colorful tissue paper. And they say, Blair, you must have bought out all of Harrison's. And Harrison's, that's the department store where Joe stole the shirt from.
I have a feeling it's the only department store that exists in their universe.
In Peekskill, yeah. It's the department store. Yeah. So then the phone rings. Judy answers the phone, and she says, oh, it's for you, Blair. It's a Dr. Wyman. And Blair answers the phone, and she says, hi, Dr. Sid. Mm-hmm. And then she's all friendly with him, and she's like, well, you know... I forget how she words it, but she says
family doctor.
Well, she implies the family doctor, but she says, oh, well, how could I not be happy to hear from the man who brought me into the world? It's like, okay, is he the family doctor or is he an OBGYN?
I think they're trying to establish it as the general family doctor that also kind of theoretically does everything. Because they say that later on when... the mother and Blair have the whole meltdown in the mother's ugly ass hotel room. Mm-hmm.
We will discuss.
She has the throwaway line of he couldn't resist calling me when I was finding out you were pregnant.
Oh, that's
that
right.
I was pregnant with you. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. So yeah, they're working to they have to create this sense of he's a family friend.
Yeah.
Maybe it might. But I guess, he feels close enough to Blair that when Blair says, oh, yeah, well, mother ended up here. She told me about the ordeal at the hospital. And then, Dr. Sid, family friend, let's violate HIPAA and give medical information
This is all pre-HIPAA.
All
pre-HIPAA.
Is HIPAA, how?
HIPAA is Clinton era. Believe
Was
it or
it
not.
really?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
And I'm going to get old school. So one of my things, before I was a local theater impresario, I was, fledgling teenage activist. I was I did a lot of stuff with Hope and Help Center and other ones. And they had this whole thing basically talking about how HIPAA had been instituted. And one of the things with how HIPAA came about was because people were being very loose and carefree with people's HIV statuses and things you could call over the phone about or not, back and forth. And even one of the big pieces, Anthony Perkins.
Okay,
from Psycho. He got his HIV test results through the National Enquirer. They had intercepted his test results. Either there was a leak somewhere in the office or something, and it was announced in the National Enquirer, and it turned into this huge case of what can and cannot a doctor's office disclose.
I did not know.
And it all aired on the side of, no, it has to be the person in person with a password of their birth date. All these things basically saying look, you can't do this anymore. You can't just say oh, I'll send that over to my husband, which was the common parlance. So this 80s was pretty backwards back then, where it was just everyone talk about it. We all know.
I knew that HIPAA didn't always exist. I was thinking it was like a 50s or a 60s thing. It's 90s.
90s.
Wow.
Clinton era.
Did not know that.
Yeah.
The more you know. Whoosh, star. So, all right. So this doctor was perfectly within his right.
Yeah, and he was assuming. He was
making an assumption. And if he's a family friend, and Blair did say the ordeal at the hospital, and so Blair hangs up and has a pretty dramatic scene where, to the point, Mrs. Garrett her mantra, he thought I knew. He thought I knew. And Mrs. Garrett almost has to hold her up. And she says she was at the hospital. She wasn't not getting a facelift. She was having a biopsy. She has a tumor in her breast.
Yeah. And then it cuts.
And then it fades to black. No clap track. It's silent. It's
just to let
dramatic.
You know the gravitas.
Yeah, the gravitas. I love that word. So it is commercial time. That means that we need to talk to Logan Donahoo and getting to know you.
Yes.
I like to do a little James Lipton-y kind of a thing as far as we've never worked together. We're only just friends through the theatre community.
Yeah, I think... Yeah, no, I don't think we've ever actually done a project
Although
before.
I've enjoyed many of your shows, your one-man shows that you've done at the Orlando Fringe Festivals.
Yes.
But let's start with Logan Donahoo. Where were you born?
Born Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Oh!
I'm a lifelong local, technically.
Wow.
And yeah, I moved here as a baby. So yeah, I moved here when I was
been in
one.
Orlando? Since
yeah.
you was a baby.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Grew up on Lee Road and then moved to Castleberry for middle school. And yeah, went to St. Margaret Mary Catholic School for 9 years on Park Avenue.
Wow.
So I grew up with Blairs. I grew up with an ocean of Blairs.
You went to the Eastland of Central Florida.
Yes. I was a delicate blend of Natalie and Joe growing up with an ocean of Blairs.
And then where did you go to school? What was your higher education?
I went to Winter Park High School. And then after Winter Park High School, I decided to take some time off and not go to college and enter into the workforce as I was a fledgling activist. Okay. And yeah, so I worked for the center and I worked for Hope and Help and then just random odd jobs of office work and PR stuff and marketing. And I just kind of made my way through there. I actually never matriculated at secondary education myself. I know. I've gone back and forth on it, but as a theater person, really going to college is to build up a resume, and I've built up a resume the other way, and I'm okay with that.
We've talked about that because I have a college degree, but it's not in theater. That's not what I studied. I studied cinema, actually.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, and I talk about movies and TV all the time. Give me a degree in that. So we talked about that. Megan Maroney is the same way. Megan Maroney did not finish her college because she was too busy working. And she's like, well, this is crazy. Why am I paying someone to teach me to act when other people are paying me while I'm learning to act?
And I mean, every once in a while, I'll be like, oh, man, if I had my BA, I could get, this job or this job where the requirement is at least a BA. But I'm like, if it becomes too much of a thing, I'll go for that someday. But right now, entering into 40s, I'm good. I'm happy. So, bleh.
And that's it. And as I've said many times before, Central Florida is great where you can keep a day job if that's what you need to sustain you and do theater at night, on the weekends. Yeah. There are so many outlets to perform here. And then the Fringe Festival is kind of where I think you've found a great deal of your footing and made a name for yourself in the community. Yeah,
a lot of people know me through that. And I've started touring with it. I went to Edmonton last year, and I'm going back this year. Yeah. I did the Tampa Fringe Festival last year as well.
Did you work with SAC? Remind me. Are you a SAC person?
I went to quote-unquote school at SAC. So I went through the 4 levels of improv that they did and graduated through there.
That's technically a higher education. It's just not a
it's not a degree. Focus. It's basically trade school is what it is.
That's a good way to think of it.
It's a year and a half of trade school.
It's a trade school. And damn, it serves you well in this market.
It does. And anytime I see people that struggle with improv, I'm like, God, take an improv class.
Yeah. Talk about your Fringe shows specifically. Yeah. I have to admit, I did not see a field guide show until this year.
Oh, goodness.
I missed it once. I saw Slut Like Me.
Okay.
And I saw this. And am I correct? Slut Like Me was field guide to being a slut.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It was like thing. So your shows all have this. They're called the Field Guide 2.
Yeah, or a lot of them have. I've bounce back and forth of wanting to use the field guide phrase, and this one I'm like, okay, I'm going back to it for this one. But yeah, I usually refer to them as like infotainment.
Yeah.
They're kind of stand up with slides. I like doing a TED Talk format for my solo shows.
Yeah. That's a great way to describe it. That's exactly what it is.
So
the first one you did was the Field Guide to the Gays.
Well, it started with a show called Trash Cinema 101. Trash Cinema 101.
Cinema. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so
elucidate me.
I wanted to go into being a Rocky Horror host, and that being what most people knew me as. Mm-hmm. I just was in love with all those old school horror hosts. Elvira, Vampira, Zachary, all that era of 1950s, 1960s horror hosts. So I was in love with that archetype, and I was like, well, I love Rocky Horror, but I also love all these other old school weird B movies. So why don't I do a show talking about my love for B movies and talking about what I think is awesome about B movies? Okay. And so I did 7 films in 60 minutes, 0 class. And I basically went through these different archetypical films. Like I did Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Can't Stop the Music, Faster Pussycat Kill Kill, Phantom of the Paradise. So yeah, I did a whole show. Trash Cinema was my thing.
And that was your first?
That was my first solo show.
At the Fringe in Orlando.
At the Fringe in Orlando.
And then how many total have you done?
Oh my God.
At least 5, right?
I've done, let me think. I did Trash Cinema, then I did Field Guide to the Gays, which was my big one that took off.
Then that was literally you saying, okay, world at large, I'm going to teach you what you need to know about gay people.
Yeah.
Because clearly straight people, you don't fucking get it.
I basically took all the uncomfortable conversations I've ever had with a well-meaning straight person. Okay. Or sometimes not well-meaning.
Yeah.
And so I was like, what if I just took all of those answers and made people pay? Literally. Yeah. Just sit down. Oh, I'll tell you. Yeah. And I'll make it funny. And but yeah, let's put it into a show. And I really liked doing it. It was both very therapeutic, and people honestly want to know these things. They're like, I'm too afraid to ask.
Yeah.
I really want to know why you guys use this slang. Why is a pride parade a big deal? Why don't straight people have a straight pride parade? I was like, I have an answer for that. Yeah. And I'm like, boop, boop, boop. So yeah, I basically made that show. I did a sequel to it. I did a mini autobiographical show that played once when I was off campus at the venue at Fringe once.
What was that called?
That was another Field Guide one. I was Field Guide to the Logan.
Oh, okay.
But that was me having therapy live on stage in front of God and everybody.
As many Fringe shows
turn
out to be.
Self-indulgent yum time. Hey. But I actually found some good stand-up material out of it. So I think I'll reincorporate that someday. Mm-hmm. And then I did... Then I did Slut Like Me, which was my other big one. And then I did Unbelievable, which was 2 years ago, right after the election. And I basically made a show on how I felt we could survive, if not thrive, over the next 4 years if you are anywhere on the left of the spectrum to the current administration. And about how all those of us on the left of that spectrum can maybe get along with each other and have more patience with each other as we're angry. And not burn out and be most effective.
Fight with each other.
Exactly. Which, I mean, families fight, but. Yeah. And then finally, this year, I kind of took 2 years off to go and tour Field Guide to the Gays to Tampa and Edmonton. And then this year I came back and actually did this one, Field Guide to, I don't know if I can curse on your show.
Yes, you may.
Field Guide to Not Being an Asshole was my newest show.
Not the A word.
Yeah, and it was more serious. It was more serious than Field Guide to the Gays or Slut Like Me. I wanted it to be more light, but the finished product that made it to this version of Fringe, I was like, I have a lot of serious things to say, and fuck it. Like, I want to say them. I'm going to say them. Here we go.
Do you have any other Fringe shows or stand-up type of things in the works now for the future?
Yeah, I have random one-off burlesque acts for different groups around town, mostly with the Big Bang Boom Cabaret over at the venue.
Okay, sure.
Then I have the Comedy Brunch over at Parliament House coming up in July. Mm-hmm. And then I'm taking my show over, Field Guide to the Gays, back to Edmonton this coming August. And I'm also putting a lot of my stuff online now. So I've kind of switched over to YouTube, and if people want to sponsor me on Patreon, kind of as a year-round, like, hey, look, there's lulls between gigs.
Support an artist.
Yeah, exactly. And seriously, most people are like, oh, $1 a month will help you here. So I'm more than happy to receive that help.
Well, I will post links to your YouTube channel as well as your Patreon. I don't have a Patreon yet. I'm in the larval stages of thinking about it, but I still don't feel quite ready to start asking people for money. I totally
understand.
So that's great. You've got a lot of projects coming up.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of our community here, is that you can have your fingers in different pies, as they say. You can have a lot of different little things going on, and that's great. So I always enjoy your shows and you. And this is like literally the first time we've ever hung out. Yeah,
like I think we hung out like on the Friendsgiving Thanksgiving thing, but it's always been, just in general, or like running into each other.
Like we run into each other, and
or
then
groups of people.
An hour later, we're still in the kitchen babbling about the same stuff.
Yeah, you turned me on to Hannah. Oh God, what's
Hannah Gadsby?
Hannah Gadsby's show.
Oh,
yeah,
what a great special!
So beautiful and heavy.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm glad that we got to hang out today.
Yeah. So let's get back to back from commercial, and what we've got is we're in the kitchen once again. No food.
None.
Nope. Ain't a damn piece of food anywhere for these girls who are preparing allegedly 3 meals a day for the school.
Unnamed school.
With an unnamed student body.
Yeah, exactly.
To the best of we can figure, we know there are over 20 girls there due to the self-defense class.
Oh.
That was, I think, the most number of extras we've seen ever. And what Blair's doing, we're not working with food. Blair is folding either tablecloths or cloth napkins.
I think they're napkins.
They're big napkins. They're large.
Huge. Yeah. They're like full lap.
Full lap and tuck into your shirt or something. But the thing is, Blair is supposed to be going to dinner with her mother, and typical sitcom, Mrs. Garrett, aren't you supposed to be going? No, I'm not going to dinner. I can't face her. Okay, well, guess you're never going to talk to your mother again. Bye. But Mrs. Garrett's trying to be encouraging. It may not be as bad, but Blair's thing is, mother is so concerned about the way she looks. And we know that if she's sick, if she has some health issues coming up, that's going to affect that. And then Tootie comes down.
Yeah.
And
Tootie, you already heard her talk about.
She was in the room.
Yeah.
And so Blair says she's really sorry. And Blair kind of says something kind of accusatory about, it's going to be all over the whole campus by the morning. And Tootie says, what does she say? I'm not that kind of a jerk?
I'm not that kind of a jerk.
But she says, this isn't gossip. I wouldn't say anything. And then the moment turns really kind of serious. She's like, I swear on our friendship. And finally Blair softens and they hug. It was kind of a little heavy, good, deep friendship moment. Yeah. I'm not sure this was called for, but okay, fine.
Yeah.
And then the moment is broken by Joe bursting into the kitchen, hysterical. Natalie is following her, trying to stop her, and Joe is running through the drawers. Says, I need a pair of scissors. I'm looking for a fuse. I need matches. And Mrs. Garrett's like, what are you doing? You can't sound like you're building a bomb.
She is.
And Natalie's like, she is. So, suffice it to say, Joe, you didn't get the job at the motorcycle play. She's like, just give me one thing. I'll take it, do it, and bam, boom, dead Kawasaki's everywhere.
Having full Unabomber mode before Unabomber.
To a big laugh.
And a big laugh. Aww.
Big laugh. Oh, she's going to be a terrorist.
80s terrorism was so much lighter. Remember when those weird Iranians and chasing Doc Brown?
Yes. So then when Joe finally calms down,
yes,
Blair and she have this moment where Blair says to her, look, you didn't get that job. Like you said earlier, you are who you are. And if they don't like it, that's their problem.
Yeah.
And
she said, what was her car term? They can blow it out their gear
crankshaft or
gearbox.
Or something like that. Yeah. So there's this good moment where Blair, interestingly, comforts this is the frenemy relationship I love so much, where she says, No, if they don't like you and they don't want you to work, that's their fucking problem.
Yeah.
And it does make Joe feel better.
In so many words.
I'm paraphrasing. And then after she's gone, Mrs. Garrett says, that was really lovely what you just did. And she's like, and Blair honestly is dismissive. She's like, what? I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Garrett says, you were there for her. You helped her. You were just a very good friend.
Yep.
So why can't you do the same for your mother? Anyway.
You love your Charlotte Rae impersonation so much.
I can't say her words unlike her. And then Mrs. Garrett in Mrs. Garrett's superpower talking about the first time she saw her father cry and how it frightened her. But it was a turning point. It's when she realized...
For both of us.
For both of us, that's right. She realized she wasn't a kid anymore. Realizing that your parents becoming human. That's a beautiful, appropriate, good story that she tells. And clearly she convinces Blair because our next scene, the final scene of the episode, is in... We originally were like, where are we? Because you said, is Monica staying at Eastland? Is this a room at the school?
Yeah. Okay. No. So yeah, there was this moment where...
Well, here's the thing. You were right to ask that because that room is fugly as sin.
There's like a wooden fish on the wall. There's a bicentennial flag.
It's all dark, and in the background is this big eucalyptus plant, and eucalyptus is just not a very... It's not a vibrant color. They were. I mean, I remember.
think they painted them. Huh? I think they were dipped in paint.
Whatever it is,
that era of
they're just not the most bright, thriving, cheerful plant. It is an ugly ass hotel room.
The only thing that lets us know it's a hotel is because they have that little informational plaque that's on the top of the TV.
Yes, checkout time and stuff that was there. So part of me is just like, for how rich the Warner family is this the nicest hotel they can find? They don't have a...
Well, do they ever explore the idea of that school is in a remote piece of New England?
No, it's in Peekskill, New York. We're an hour outside of the city.
Still, an hour outside of the city is still kind of rustic, where it's not
yeah.
It starts feeling like Maine. That's sort of
I hear
there's
you.
Trees. So I think they wanted to establish this is just a small bed and breakfast, small hotel,
maybe
small town.
But if we have Eastland Academy and Bates Academy, and they have the longevity that they claim to have,
they have to have at least one nice luxury hotel somewhere.
Who would not
town.
be smart enough to say, I'm a hotel mogul, I'm going to build a nice luxury hotel there for when the families stay? Just throwing that out there.
So the set dressers really dropped the ball there, said, oh, just a hotel room.
Yeah. Well, we'll make it look as lovely as the girls' dorms in season 1.
It's a converted TGIFridays that we turned into a hotel room.
Yeah. It is not pretty. It's very
There's
depressing.
snowshoes on the wall, and we don't know why.
Oh, and the closet is open air. There's not even a door for the closet. And look
clock
at this.
the wood bicentennial flag.
Yeah, there's a bicentennial wooden rustic. Yeah, this is a terribly rustic place where I don't get the... Peekskill is not that far out of the city.
No.
But the deal is, she is there. Blair shows up, and out of the blue, she's like, oh, hello, that's great. And Monica says, let's go to Hawaii. What do you think? Let's just take off on a trip. And Blair starts packing her mother's suitcase. And she's like, what's going on? And she says...
Packing poorly, might I add.
Very poorly. Dramatically, yes. Efficiently, no.
The mother gives us the most delicious line, you're crinkling my crepe.
I know.
I wrote that down.
Oh, bless. Oh, bless. So Blair says, no, you need to go back to the doctor and find the results of the biopsy. And Marj, to say this, she just crushes all the dramatic moments of the scene. And she says, I already got the damn results of the biopsy.
She's so good. She's so good.
And then she stops, and thankfully she says, who told you? And she suddenly realizes, wait a minute, you're not supposed to know about that. And then Blair says, Dr. Sid called.
Or no, her response is, not the person who should have.
Oh, that's right. And then,
I'm like, ooh!
Yeah, no,
Come
she's
on,
right.
Brady.
Yep, throw down with Mom. And then Monica says, well, Dr. Sid called, and he said he needed to see me. That means it's pretty bad news. They never give you the bad news on the phone. They always give you good news. Remember, he couldn't wait to tell me when I was pregnant with you.
Yep. Which establishes all the family doctor stuff. Such good... That's good. This is a well-written episode. To put exposition about their life all the way down into, like, the last scene. I'm like, girl.
Blair says, smartly, she needs to say, well, you need to see what it's going to be. Maybe it'll be all right. And Monica's like, it's never going to be all right again.
Wow.
And at the very least, Blair has to boil it down to, well, what now? What are you going to do now? And she says, you can't run away from this. How am I going to help you? And she comes back. And what's going on here? Because we earlier said it's a tumor in her breast. I think that the thing we have to remember here is in 1981, breast cancer automatically meant mastectomy. They just cut that shit off.
And they try to do a little education with the show. Because Blair has the voice of the new generation. Yeah. It's like, it's not that automatic anymore. And like, they're trying to do an advocacy thing.
There are all different types of treatments available to cancer patients now, Mom.
Let me speak about it.
Yeah.
And so, but truthfully, that's what I went down the Wikipedia hole when you were watching me, like, God. I wanted to look up what the treatments were like in 81. Like, I didn't know for real. And they basically were talking about how it was radiology and surgery, and that was about it. And they were starting the early stages of, hey, there's chemotherapy. Maybe this will work.
Lumpectomies can sometimes be a first line of defense and then see if we need to go to the next level.
Yeah, so chemotherapy was still kind of new, and the rate of it spreading and it being a life-threatening, you probably will die, was still really high at that time.
Was it really?
Yeah. It wasn't like we know for sure, but it was like the rate did not plummet until the 90s.
Wow.
Where then it finally got codified, pink ribbons, all that stuff. Breast cancer was still kind of a
there was stigma.
Yeah, stigma and dire.
Yeah, and we're not discussing it because it's talking about a woman's body.
Yes.
And the idea that if you lose a breast, you're losing your womanhood.
Yeah.
And
it
was the stigma was huge. So her reaction is really it seems a little melodramatic by today's standards. I do not think that this is that over the top for what
at the time
that they were doing. This is kind of spot on, and using a soap actress was such a good tactical move. Monica also does bring into the mix a very common thing. I wanted to spare you. I didn't want you to worry about me. That's such a parental thing. Such a parental thing. And I think Blair says, you can't hide from this. You can't just go swimming in a swimming pool in Hawaii. And she says, no, I can't, because the chlorine turns my hair orange.
Yeah.
And it's like, Marj, you have dark brown, almost brown black hair. Even color-treated brown-black hair will not turn orange in chlorine.
I think they're fantasizing over the idea of the bleach in the pool. Yeah. The chlorine will strip the hair. Girl.
If you have super bleachy blonde hair, the chlorine will turn it green. Green, actually.
Yeah. And green is not her color, as we discovered earlier.
Nice callback.
Theater.
Nice. So we come to, Blair says, we Warner women are a lot stronger than people think we are.
Such a good line.
And Monica says, whenever I'm faced with a crisis, I always think, what would Betty Davis do?
That's where she goes into the smoking
And then she says she would light up a cigarette and, well, I quit smoking. So we do allude to the fact that she was a smoker, and that could be what caused her breast cancer.
Maybe.
FYI. But then she does admit she's scared. Blair says, let's use the buddy system. I can be a good friend. I think that's where the pool comes in. We can use the buddy system because, when you swim in the pool,
I can hold you up.
I got ahead of myself. But Blair takes it to another level here. We could have just ended the episode saying, we'll get through this together, hold hands, end of episode. But she says, I can be a good friend. And Blair goes further to say, you realize we're not friends. We're just playmates.
Yeah.
We gossip. We talk about clothes and men. We have a deeply superficial relationship.
I love that phrasing. And it calls back actually to when the girls see the two of them gossiping at the beginning of the episode.
Yeah.
They refer to them as like, oh my God, they're like girlfriends.
Yeah, they
like
do.
laughing at how inappropriately non-mother-daughter their relationship is.
Yeah.
How it's just,
Along
light.
with the brilliant ideas
Shopping
callback
friends.
too. So, and it ends up with her saying, well, what do you need from me? And she says, well, what can I do for you? And she says, just keep doing what you're doing.
More of this.
And then it ends with, you really are a beautiful girl. And she says, well, mother, I look just like you. And she says,
I wasn't talking about your face.
yeah. I was having the feels.
It's so good.
And my feels were felting. And it was beautiful.
You were in Fieldland?
I was.
So, has Blair ever been this self-aware? Like, I don't think I've ever seen Blair off the top of my head, and they might revisit it in other special episodes, but I don't remember Blair ever being self-aware of like, hey, I'm glib and flippant and superficial. Like, she never, I don't think I remember that character having many come to Jesus moments with herself about her behaviors or her.
The way I've always described Blair is vain, surface, superficial, and that's her default. Mm-hmm. But when the chips are down, she is a great friend. She does have a sense of what is really going on. Yeah. And she always comes through. And that I fear the day is coming. I'm going to be watching an episode and they're going to fuck it up because I don't remember
Blair,
all these.
I have a feeling Blair's going to be an antagonist somewhere.
But right now,
she's going to have to be the one that learns.
It is, yeah. But this is a great Blair. And we haven't had that many Blair-centric episodes since Joe came along, where it's like we've been giving a lot to Nancy McKeon and to Judy and to Natalie and stuff. Mm-hmm. This is kind of, I can't remember this Blair-centric episode.
Yeah. And I noted earlier, I was like, Jerry seems to always be in service of Blair plot lines. So you were saying how this is the second Jerry episode? Yeah,
and her worried look at the end of that scene. She's gone. We never hear from her the rest of the episode.
We're good. She's off performing at the Elks Lodge in perpetuity. She has a residency at the Elks.
Monica to say to her, well, you're at the Moose Lodge, and then you're over at the Elks, and then the Lions Club. Guess it's a jungle out there. It's a very lovely little thing. But this is a great episode.
It really was.
I really like it. It really is. It resonates. It shakes the Etch-a-Sketch upside down of the mother-daughter relationship that we suffered through in that awful episode in season 1.
It's so... I need to go back and see that episode.
It's awful. You gotta see it.
Oh my God. I could have sworn I remember hearing about that, but...
Yeah. But Logan, I'm so glad you were so enthusiastic. You wanted to do this so badly.
Do. I love 80s stuff. I love things I remember from my childhood. And this is such a fond, weird little gay boy thing for me that I'm like, I want to do an episode. And so when you mention like, oh, I'll have you on, I'm like, really? Okay. So I'm really happy to be here. So seriously, thank you.
Oh, you are very welcome. Thank you. And I hope this isn't the last time. Hope to have you back.
Thank you. I look forward to it.
Bye. Bye. And there you have it. That was Logan Donahoo. I really have nothing more to add to this episode. I made all the points I want to make. I didn't have any extra notations of stuff I wanted to talk about other than let's just relish in what a wonderful addition Marj Dusay is to the series now in the role of Monica Warner. And let's all just be so happy that we've got her and that she's here to stay because she will be here for the long haul. We've got her appearing in 7 more episodes after this over the next few years. That is very good news. Next week, I'm going to be watching Season 3, Episode 5. It is called Front Page, and my special guest is going to be actor Joe Lorenz. That's all for this week. Thanks so much for listening to this show, and remember, the facts of life are all about you. Let's Face the Facts was produced, written, hosted, and edited by David Almeida. That's me. My theme song was beautifully arranged and recorded by Ned Wilkinson. Our website is facethefactspod.com. You have to drop the lets. and that's where you can find extra pictures, videos, and audio extras from the digital cutting room floor. Follow the show on social media under the handle Face the Facts Pod, and don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the show. Tune in again next week and every week for another thrilling episode of Let's Face the Facts.